Let's see. Daisy Buggy. liksom inte ladda nu. Det är bara... Ryllskiten. Fan. Dit på den också alltså. Nej. Kör så här. Ah! Fitta!
So be careful. These birds are smart, and they know us. And it's important for them to know us because they live in a place where they have to confront people of different values, some that like them and some that don't. So we did some experiments on this, and what our suggestion was is that we could catch birds, and which is something they don't particularly like. And in this case, we decided rather than just go out as we normally do and try to keep them calm when we catch them, we'd wear these crazy masks. So we wore a caveman mask when we caught the birds. And our idea was we could then test the birds later to see if they would recognize this caveman as he walked around campus where we caught the birds. And in fact, we could compare their response to this mask versus another very similar mask that we never did anything dangerous to the bird with. So we had a control mask, Dick Cheney, and a dangerous mask, the caveman. And lo and behold, the birds responded quite strongly and could tell the difference. In this graph, the first panel there shows the response before we did any captures, pre-testing. No response, basically. The birds didn't really care about us. It's not uncommon to have weird-looking people walking around our campus. After we did the experiment, we caught 7 birds. Again, the 2 control faces, no mask or Dick Cheney, didn't elicit a response, but the caveman elicited a strong response. In any form, upside down, with a hat, without a hat, they really picked up on this guy, and they scolded and dived and chased this person whenever he walked on campus. And that continues today. This graph shows the change over 8 years in time, with the response to the caveman basically doubling over the course of this 8-year period. Almost every bird involved in the scolding of the caveman was not ever touched or harmed by the caveman either. They've all learned this by observing one another scold. Many of the birds scolding today were never even born when the caveman first caught birds 7.5 years ago. So where in the brain might this sort of behavior sit? We have again done some PET imaging, brain scanning of these birds so we can see what parts are activated when they look out and see the person that caught them, which is what you see in the first panel of MRIs there, versus look out and see a person who's been taking care and feeding them for the last several weeks. And there's a very strong difference. When they look out and see the person that caught them, their amygdala is active, exactly as yours would be if you saw a danger that you learned in your environment, the right hemisphere of their amygdala. In the second panel there, you see the response to the caring face, and there the reward circuit of the brain is activated. They're anticipating like Pavlov's dog, and perhaps feeding by this person. They've made this association very quickly. But what about compassion? Can these birds have compassion? They often gather around their dead, as this illustration shows, and we thought they might be gathering there to learn about dangers or opportunities, or maybe mourn the loss of a long-time mate. So we tried to simulate this in the lab as well, and what we showed our birds was a new person they'd never seen, a new mask, holding this particular dead crow in this case. How do they react to that in their brain? You might expect the amygdala would be activated if they were having an emotional response, like we showed in the top panel there when they looked out and saw that person who caught them. But it's not the case. In the bottom panel, when they look out and see a person holding a dead crow, it's the hippocampus that's active. They're learning about this danger. They're accumulating this knowledge of a dangerous person or place and storing it, apparently, in their hippocampus. All right, well, let me just end by suggesting that these birds are very successful in our environment because they've learned to live with us. They consider us very carefully. They recognize us. They take this information and they act on it. Often, by their success, they challenge us. We're afraid of their diseases. We're upset by their noise. Or perhaps we're challenged by the fact that they eat other animals as well. I would just ask that we take that information and consider it as carefully as the birds are considering us. Think about what we have done to the environment that might have set them on this path and how we could fix that without pulling out the gun first, which is our typical reaction to these animals, and getting rid of them. With that, I would thank you for your attention.
fan, buggmus alltså. Fittmus.